Thank you, Lord. All right. Hello, this is Jaiko, and this is Sensational, the season Sister Soul Cast. We're doing a one-on-one tonight with a very special lady and relative of mine, I don't mind saying, the great Sherry Caldwell. And we are talking about a very sensitive but very important subject tonight. We are talking about sexual violence against women. It is way too common. And we really need to demystify it. We really need to be able to open up and talk about this because more women are dealing with this than we really want to accept. According to the Center for Disease Control, they believe that 1 out of 5 American women have experienced sexual assault. So that doesn't even include the other different ways that we have been violated: sexual harassment, molestation. These things aren't even included. So, what I really want to do is just create a space for us to have some comfortable conversations about it, as comfortable as possible. So, Sherry is such an amazing person. She is an arts educator. She is a dancer, a professional dancer and teacher. She has taught from little teeny children all the way up to Yale students, not only dance, but in African culture. Am I correct?
Yes, African culture as well as our elders. So we can't leave out our
Oh,
seniors.
and she's
Yeah.
taught the elders as well. So everyone is covered. And the reason that I asked Sherry to be here is because she has been very brave in sharing with the women whose lives she's touched about her own story of sexual violence and how she has not only survived it, but helped other people to survive. So we're going to start. I'm just going to ask in brief, in whatever way you want to tell us, as comfortable as possible, about your story.
Yes. It was a long time ago. I was I was raped when I was probably about 12 years old, 12 or 13 or so. And I kind of walked into it. I'm just coming to a place where I'm realizing that I had much more to do um, with involving myself or following this young man. We were children, and he was only 3 years older than me. Nonetheless, it was rape. I followed him. I said no. He put a knife to my throat, and he continued to rape me. Um, Now, when I say that I had something to do with it, I mean that had I, as a child, listened to my parents and done what I was told and went home as opposed to following my own feeling. I was interested because he was a young man who had a different kind of movement that I thought was awesome. As a dancer, movement was my thing. I thought it was amazing. And this young man he was a martial artist. And so we taught classes for the neighborhood corporation office in the community. Um, and I was amazed at that movement, the way he did what he did, the way he manipulated his body and other bodies um, to defend himself. The way he taught the way he taught children. He was, like I said, he was only 3 years older than I was, and he was also teaching younger people. So, because I was sort of, amazed at that, I followed him, and I wound up in a place where I should never have been. Yet and still, he raped me. And so what happened from that was, um, I literally, I became pregnant. I did not know anything about my body. I didn't know about my anatomy and that, a woman could get pregnant that way, or a girl could get pregnant that way. I wound up running home because I was more afraid of the repercussions from my parents not
Mm,
following, the instructions that are given. Go do what you got to do, bring your behind back home, you know. And so, while that was happening to me, I didn't pay a lot of attention other than to feel the pain because it was painful and there was blood. And, but my mind was, oh, my mother's going to get me. Oh, my dad is probably looking for me. You know what I mean? Those kinds
yes.
of things. And so I wound up sort of putting that in the background. When I got home, I just lied. I literally lied about it. I told I acted as if nothing happened. I told this whole story that manipulated the situation so that I didn't have to deal with it at all. And 3 months later, I found out, or my mom found out, that I was pregnant. And so I say all of that just to say that it's important, even when you're a child, that you rely on your family, rely on your parents, tell the truth. Don't be afraid of whatever's going to come, because whatever's going to come is probably better than what you have to go through by yourself. Um, so yeah, that's what happened to me, and it went on into uh, a whole. It was years. I didn't tell myself the truth
Okay.
about the situation for probably a good 30 years.
Wow.
However, parts of it and pieces of it came. And so, as a dancer and as an instructor and as an advisor and as an elder who the young folks trusted, I used my story, or as much of my story as I could, to um, to feel for them, because they would wind up bringing me their situations, their
Mm,
stories. And some of it was rape, some of it was battered, they got battered at home. They were mentally, emotionally, physically abused. And so, as a teacher in a public school system where children who were living real traumatic lives, um, they've, I don't know how I did it, but by the grace of God,
yeah.
that he gave me something that allowed me to connect, and my pain and their pain found their way to each other in
Yeah.
conversation. And then as an elder, I would try to take them further into finding a solution to whatever their problems were. But I mean, I put my whole family through some stuff just in order to just in order to get out of the way of what was happening to me. I wasn't taught, nobody told me as a little girl, what could happen.
Hmm.
Nobody told me what a woman's body does, how a baby comes. None of those
Yes.
kinds of things were ever taught to me. My mom wasn't the kind of person who spoke to those kinds of situations. This would have been back in uh, the early 70s.
Okay.
And my mom was an introvert, and I mean, she was amazing, but I don't know what she was taught.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so that's how it happened. And there's a lot to how I got through it, but I'm assuming you're gonna talk about some of that too, and I'll break it down a little better for you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that, first of all. And I'm just thinking about how blessed all the women have been to go to a place where they could have somebody who could feel their pain and
Mhm.
understand what they were going through. So you said there was about 30 years where you didn't really understand or see or admit what happened to you. Can you remember much about how that impacted your mental health, like through those years? Could you see the
I
impact
was
of what happened?
I was afraid. I think that I began to tell myself um, lies, really, about all of it, not knowing the truth about it, trying to make sense of it as a very young girl, and the fear of what would happen to my dad, to my brothers, if they found out that it had happened to me. I, I, it, it just left my mind. There's so much of it that was like black in my mind. And then um, I found out later, some years later, that I was lying to defend, to be sure, to make it so that my father didn't run up the hill to the next projects where the young man came from, and look for his father or look for him,
Right,
and try to
right.
confront people. And then I had a brother who was like crazy about, fighting and martial arts and that kind of stuff himself, and it was a difficult it was a difficult thing to have to absorb and live through. And so I think I just started to lie. Literally, I started to lie. But I would like to say that it's not it's not one thing. Like, it happens to young people, it happens to boys, it happens to girls. Things happen and you really don't know what to do with it.
Hmm.
And so the lie that I was telling myself before I was able to tell somebody else,
Wow.
and then as I started to realize, actually my faith I started to get closer to God as a conscious adult. And that's what made me start to confess what I was doing to myself all those years. Um, and so it was crazy. It was really a difficult situation for everybody involved. My family, myself. Um, I I had a I had an abortion a day after I found out that I was pregnant, not knowing what it takes to get pregnant. And so it was really complicated. Um was sad. It
Yeah.
was sad, and it made my mentally, I believed that something was wrong with me. I believed that I wasn't worthy of a good relationship. I felt like I was a bad girl until I was a woman. And then as a woman, I felt like I just wasn't worthy because of everything that had already happened to me. Um, those days, they talked about, saving yourself. We talked about abstinence, and how
Yes.
important that is, and it is. But my question when we were talking about that was, what do you do when you're not given the choice? And so there's a lot.
Wow. And there's so much in what you shared. One thing that I have heard from you that I've heard from myself and from other people who had different levels of experience with sexual violence is that you find yourself holding on to this secret, but it's not only to protect yourself, but it's to protect everybody involved.
That's right.
So you're carrying this weight of shame because of what happened to you,
Mm.
fear because of what happened, and it is now, on top of being the abused one, on top of being hurt, I have to carry everybody's safety. I have to make sure my dad doesn't get locked up. I have to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that my brother doesn't kill somebody. I
Mm-hmm.
have to make sure that this guy doesn't die, even though what he decided to do is impacting my life for years to come, if not for the rest of my life. But I
Mm-hmm.
have to protect him too from my brother who might take his life. So you carry all of these
You
burdens,
do.
and that oftentimes gets us to not receive the help that we need because we're not opening up to say this happened and I need help.
Mhm.
But you can't. I remember having a dream even of me standing in front of God and this young man behind me. And I'm going, no, God, no.
Mm.
Like I was trying to stop God from punishing him. Like that's how
Mhm.
much I was carrying that burden of protecting the abuser, which is totally natural,
It is.
totally human. And this is why I believe it's so important to talk about these things in not in such a way like, oh my God, this happened. First of all, and excuse the cars, but it's so common that we have to stop doing that. Oh my God, you're a trauma survivor. We're all trauma survivors.
Mm.
If you're not one yet, you will be.
And you know, he lived those 30 years without even realizing what he had done to my life. He literally, I think I opened my studio in after 20 years of being in the school system and helping young people um, beyond just dance, which I was there for. Um, I became a nurturer in the school system as opposed to just a stern dance instructor or arts instructor. Their lives touched my life in such a way that I became more than just those hours in the school teaching the dance classes, but I literally sat for many more hours just holding on to kids and listening to their
Yes.
stories
Yeah.
and trying to help them to go to their families and let them know what was going on in their lives many times. So after those years of doing all of that, I was he reached out to me on
Mm.
Facebook without thought. The way he spoke to me, it was as if we all grew up in projects together, and I remember you and you were young, and yeah, we had a good time at that. And it was as if he didn't even remember the day. He didn't remember what he did. And so I prayed, and I was old. I was probably a good 40 something years old by then. And I just prayed and I just asked God to help me to know what to do. Because when I saw his face on the Facebook page, I just, froze. I just
Yeah.
I just froze and I looked at him and I looked at this picture and I'm reading what he's saying to me and everything sounds peachy keen and wonderful. And I'm
Hmm.
saying, man,
Yeah.
inside myself. So I
Yeah.
just really fell to my knees and I cried and I asked God, what should I do? And I believe God meant for me to talk and tell him what he had done to me.
Mhm.
And so I invited him to come to the studio while everybody was there, and so that it wouldn't just be he and I alone or
Yes.
anything. And we sat in my office and I told him. I told him what he did to me. I told him what it what how my life changed because of it. I took on a whole attitude about myself that because I was a dancer and my body was flexible and I could do, and men started to look at that.
Mm.
So they saw this flexible girl and I was cute back then. And so
Still cute.
I believe that that's what they want.
Yeah.
In my mind, my warped mind, I believe that men, all they saw was this body
Hmm.
and getting to it somehow. And
Hmm.
I just felt like that was all I was. I felt
Hmm.
like there was nothing else to me. And so I literally became this promiscuous, crazy, my family calls me the free spirit. And at one point I was the black sheep because they didn't know where to put me because
Hmm.
nobody really understood what was going on. Why was I behaving the way I was behaving? I didn't understand either. but I lived that way for years. And by the grace of God, I got through that. And He allowed me to use all of my pain, all of that, because after that, I was pregnant a number of times and I kept miscarriaging. I couldn't keep a baby.
Mhm.
And a part of that was because of what he physically did to me that day.
Okay.
So that day he physically hurt me. So there was
Okay.
blood, it was crazy. And so I was not able to keep a child inside me.
Yes.
My cervix was open
Okay.
very, very early in a pregnancy, and I would lose the baby. Now, when he came and he talked to me, and I told him what happened, he he had the audacity to ask me if my daughter, my one child, was his child. But I've never been the kind of spirit that I'm not harsh, I'm not hard. I feel like something made him be that way. Something happened to him
Mhm.
too. And so after growing up and after hearing all of the many stories, after having the experiences that I had, um, I just I couldn't be cruel to him. I had
Mhm.
to be honest with him. I had to be stern about what was going on. I had to let him know it was not good. It was not right. Um, no, my daughter is not your child.
Thank you, Lord.
But God just he's given me a peace that that lets me know that any battles that I need to fight, he will fight them for me.
Yes.
And so I don't have to go out with a vindictive spirit. There's not I pray for this man. Um and I don't know, that's what it feels like today for me. And I will always be open to listen to people who have suffered whatever they've suffered, because trauma is trauma.
Yeah.
Sadness is sadness, and that deep sadness that festers inside of you and literally turns you into something that you had that not happened, I probably would never have been a lot of what I was. At the same time, all of what has happened to me in my life has allowed me to help other people.
Yes.
And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that whatever happened, my children that did not make it, none of those things were in vain. Those things are a way that, I mean, what I had to go through. God says you can be saved, but you're not, it doesn't mean that you're not going to struggle. And at that time, I had not consciously, as I wasn't an adult. So I was just going to church because mommy was making me go to church.
Yes.
I mean, I wasn't the kind of child who just I want to go to church. You know what I mean? That was Stephanie. But my sister. But I wanted to go dance. I literally I just submerged my whole self into dance in such a way that I could live it. I could live with it. Dance is communication. It's a way to speak. So all of my productions, all of my choreography over a good 50 years of producing works has had to do with the plight of Black women, Black people, the suffering that we've had to go through. And dance has been therapeutic in that way. It was a part of, going down, but it's also been a part of coming up.
So you're saying it's a part of going down. What do you mean by that?
The dance, because my body was able to do what it could physically do,
Mm-hmm.
I was attractive to men in a way that was not good for me.
Okay.
Um, at the same time, while all of that was happening, all of the good things were also happening because an
Hmm.
audience, I've never failed at performing. I've never failed at choreography or teaching or any of those things. It was a blessing that I was taught or I was introduced to the arts and dance. But again, a part of the therapeutic part of it, I believe, is the fact that I could speak without
Mm.
talking, without talking my words. Verbally, I could talk about all my pain. I could go into anything that I wanted to speak to and use movement.
So my question is, well, one of my questions would be, can you really help who's going to be attracted to you because of whatever gift or whatever talent, whatever light you have? Can you control anyone being attracted to you? And can you control, I only want good attraction, not bad
You
attraction?
cannot. I
We,
cannot. I could not.
hmm.
But what happened to me was in my mind. It was me doing a lot of the damage to myself. I furthered it by seeing everybody in that way.
Hmm.
Some of those folks probably, and I could say, loved me.
Yes.
However, I couldn't see them that way because of what had happened to me, because of what I'd gone through, because I even sometimes after moving into an advisory, an elder's position, and listening to young people speaking their truths, um, I still I couldn't see men seeing me that way. I did not believe I was worthy. I believed that I was ruined. And
Hmm.
so I'm not saying that it could not have been true. And I would say that many times, if not most times, they really did care about me. I don't know what level of love that was, or what. I don't believe that everybody was that way now.
Right.
But then I believe that if he's looking at me like that, he must be looking at me because he wants to. You know what I mean? It was
Right.
just that's what that experience did to my life.
And it's once again, this happens to many women. You
Oh
have
my
this feeling
goodness.
that I'm ruined and I am this is what I am because our experiences, we attach meaning to our experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So this means that I'm ruined. I'm no longer a virgin. I'm no longer,
Yes.
I'm damaged goods. But a
Yes.
lot of times we're projecting when we cannot necessarily consider this man just really loves the light in me.
Right.
This man really loves the beauty of me. Yes, maybe he can't see me move and I got a shape and I'm out here dancing.
Mm-hmm.
However, there is still a light and a beauty there. And just sometimes because our experiences may say, this is all I am, that doesn't mean that's what everybody sees.
That's right.
And I can say now, it may not be a fair interview because I did know you
Mhm.
so many years ago. I know that I'm a bit younger, but you've always had a light and a spirit that was very joyful and something that it was infectious. You brought joy to other people. And a lot of times that it is the beauty and even the purity and the spirit of a woman that can attract the wrong thing, but that doesn't mean it's her fault. Some people don't process it. For some people, it's maddening. For some people, it's like, I have to covet that. But many of these men, at the same time, why wouldn't they just be seeing your beauty? And I'm not trying to argue with you, but
Oh
what I'm
no.
saying is just to suggest to you and anyone else who has had this phenomenon happen that Oh, they were probably seeing that light, that beauty, that joy, that spirit. This woman was stop and dance anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, even just around the house. I
Yeah.
remember just going to visit. She's coming down the stairs, like sliding down. And that is just something that's beautiful.
Well, I would say to that, I love you, my cousin. But that's what my grandmother would tell me.
Mm,
She said, "Don't see only darkness." And she suffered. She went through some stuff.
mhm.
And but she said, "Jerry, you are so much more than just that." You know what I mean? You don't live in that space forever. It's something that hurts and you think back on it, but you have to trust in God. She said you have to know that you are so much more than just what happened on that day. So you and it was that kind of love in our family. We have that kind of love on both sides of my family. I was always loved so deeply. I don't have a soul in my family that I don't love with my whole heart.
Yes.
Every member of my family, I don't care what they are, what they do, what they've done, nothing about not one person in my family do I not have this deep, oof, I could feel it. There's a
Yes.
love that, because that's how we were loved. And whatever happened outside, when I came home, when I came in amongst my people, my family, the people who loved me and I know loved me, uh, there was just no question. And so that was what I took and brought to the children. That's what I took and brought to the sisters that I worked with, because I've worked with community organizations and uh, mental health facilities and you know uh, battered women and all kind of situations. And we have I've been able to love everyone because of how I was loved as
Yes.
in within my family, within my village, So what you're saying is so real, and it doesn't even feel like an argument. It feels like
Hmm.
confirmation to me
Yes. Yeah.
because even back then, when my mother wasn't able to tell me about myself, she wasn't able to tell me what happened to me. My grandmother was. She took me in the room. My mother must have told her what happened.
Yeah.
And she took me into her house and she held me so tight and she broke down what happened to me. She told me what that sound was when my legs were up in these stirrups and I could hear the sound and I looked and you would see this film or whatever, the tissue and the stuff would just be going. And it was me having an abortion. And
Hmm.
the day before was the day my mom found out that I was pregnant. I still didn't know I was pregnant.
Wow. And
I
this was
went,
a 70s abortion. This wasn't,
yes, yeah,
whatever they're
one,
doing now
right. Yeah,
that's much simpler and a
I,
procedure. They won't even say, it's an abortion. It's a procedure. And, so to be so young and to go through something
and
like
people,
that.
I mean, it's spoken about so much more comfortably now,
Yeah.
which is good, because people are out there and some people's intention is not good. And you have to be prepared as best as possible. And so yeah, I just am grateful that it is like it is today. Well, Donald Trump don't take stuff away from people, but you know what I'm saying.
So, just something I also just wanted to acknowledge is how you've used what you've gone through to heal others. And I just encourage anybody who has gone through a similar situation, which is at least, as we understand today, at least 20% of us, 1 in 5 women
Mm,
who go through this at some point in their lives, whether it's childhood, being a teen, an adult, some with our own spouses, some with relatives, friends of the family, date rape, these things. If you've gone through this, I just, hope that you're hearing just the gems that are coming from Sherry here. Just using the healing and just using that. It's amazing how sometimes your pain can help you be a gift to someone else.
Mhm.
But even with that, you want to do it from a place of love and not, I'm so terrible. I don't want you to be
Right,
as terrible as I
right,
am.
right.
But to really from a place of sympathy and
Empathy.
empathy
That's
as
right.
it wherever it lands
Hmm.
to really give to someone else. But another thing that I want to really bring out is just the years of silence so many women go through. And I just encourage you to let that go. It's not your job to be the protector.
Right.
I had never been to therapy until I was 35.
I still have never been.
Wow.
I think for a couple of months while I was in the inside that same year or so after the abortion, um, I went to I went to speak to someone, and my family had to come one day. I went like twice or three times a week, and my family came in once a week so that we could all talk together about what had happened to me.
Mm,
And again, and at that point, I still wasn't telling the truth about it.
okay.
So they were going only as far as the things that they knew. But like you say, only by the grace of God, I'm so grateful to God that that spiritually I have come to know him in the way
Mhm.
that I do now, and that I'm fervently trying to be more aligned with what it is his purposes for me, and it it lets me know that I don't I didn't have to fight. You don't have to fight. What you need to do is know God in a way so that you can lay it down there, lay it down, put it out in front of your people, go to your prayer closet, pray and cry and moan and weep and whatever you're going to do.
Yes.
But let somebody help you,
Yes.
let somebody in.
Yes.
And once you break through, that's when you never know what you're going to do for someone else
Yes.
because
Isolation is dangerous.
isolation is
And
crazy.
that is where the enemy can just really wreak havoc on you,
Yes,
where you are sitting in isolation and rehearsing thoughts that are coming from an unhealthy place.
that's right.
And that's what a trauma will do. It'll just introduce thought patterns and meanings and narratives that are
Hmm.
very destructive. So we just encourage you to
Yes,
open up and speak to someone about your experience,
yes,
and you will survive it.
yes.
It will be very scary at times. I am not even going to lie.
Mm.
And a lot of times we want to just protect other people from their tears and their anger. The people you love, like, I don't want to see mama go through this. I don't want to have to tell daddy this. I just don't want my sisters and brothers to go through this.
Right.
But
They don't want me to go through that either.
they don't want you to
You
go
see,
through it either.
and I really feel like I I did a dishonor to my parents by not letting them help me.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I know my father would have the my father had a sweet, kind spirit. So and he would have taken care of things in a way so that I didn't have to feel like something was going to happen to him. He's
Okay.
always been a God-fearing man.
Yes.
So was my mom, a God-fearing woman. And had I just trusted
Hmm.
them enough to say, this happened to me, I I could have been, it could have been just lifted off of my spirit so that I
Yes.
didn't go in all these different directions and do things that potentially could have really harmed me, if not worse. And even though I went through all of that, God has always protected me. And that's one of the things that now I'll just weep just like that.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Because when I think back on all the things that I did, the directions that I went in, God protected me through all of it. And there was a lot of it,
Yes.
and so it's, I'm just so grateful now. I'm really grateful now that um, I have had the opportunity to live my life. My life is what it is, and I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not,
Yes.
you know what I mean? I'm not going forward feeling at all like a lot of those feelings that I had, they're gone from my spirit.
Thank you, God.
I'm not carrying any of that. And after having the opportunity to tell him to his face
Now that was,
what he did to me, man, and then he tried to claim my baby too.
no, sir. No. But that is so powerful. And no one is suggesting that anybody go willy-nilly and do
Right.
anything. But if you feel that you have the opportunity in a safe space, my therapist offered me a space. She says, you bring him here. Now this was a little too bold for me. She said, you bring him here. We're gonna talk, and I'm gonna charge him.
Oh.
And I was like, okay. But one thing that she helped me to understand is when I got to the point when I was angry, she just went crazy and applauded me. And I was like,
Yes.
she was like, finally, you're angry.
Yes.
You understand that this is not okay and that you are not someone who is just supposed to be abused or tossed around or ignored or whose feelings are just to be cast aside. And I was like, wow, it was such an aha moment for me. And I've shared it with so many other people just to encourage or celebrate. You're angry.
Yeah.
Because before that, you were totally accepting abuse. And
But I feel like my anger was, I spoke it through my movement. I
mm,
think that my every production, again, everything that, I mean, you see it, you can see my life in my work. And so, and I wasn't timid about it. I speak boldly, and maybe because I didn't have to verbalize it necessarily, but I got it out. And the the um the feedback that comes from expressing oneself in that way allows people to connect, because now we have something in common. People that were not able to speak it verbally either, but they also did not have another way to speak it. Art, the arts is an amazing tool. And so, and it doesn't have to be dance, it could be visual arts, or it can be theater, whatever it is, music. You can express your feeling, your truth through the arts. And that's where the therapy comes, where you can use it to help yourself get out of things. Um, so for me, even during those years when I was covered, but I didn't know. I had God, but I didn't know how to reach for him. I spoke, and God helped me to put, it's so easy for me to put together a production or a piece of choreography, or just a phrase of movement. It doesn't have to be a lot. It can just be a phrase that happens on the floor, and it's not even a minute long, but it's so strong and passionate and full of, like you're saying, your anger, but your true emotion, your
yes,
real feeling. And I think that I was always angry about it. I think that's why I was scared to talk about it, because I've never been the kind of person who wants to fight.
okay.
I've never had that type of spirit. During those years when I was off the chain.
Mhm.
um I was I would curse like a sailor, and I called myself being bad, but that wasn't me.
Hmm.
The me that I am now. When God gave me my daughter and I found out that she was inside of me, all of that moved out of me like it just left me. And it was amazing. And to be able to feel something like that, I was able to have my child for the first time. And I'll tell you, I was pregnant a lot. And I didn't have any children. I could never carry the children to term and deliver. So I have one amazing daughter that has been such a blessing to me, and she was confirmation that I was not wrong and gone. I was still here, and there was still something that God had for me. And that feeling of not wanting to be like that anymore, not wanting to behave that, not wanting to treat myself that way anymore, not wanting to hurt me. You already been hurt. Somebody already hurt you. Why
Hmm.
would you want to continuously hurt yourself? And now I have someone that's gonna love me, and I'm gonna love her, and me hurting me is gonna be hurting her.
And that's you got to something that I don't like to cut people off too much,
No, no,
but
please.
being pregnant and saying, okay, this is another opportunity, sometimes that will cause us to get rid of things because I'm protecting the child,
Mm-hmm,
but we're still not protecting us.
mm-hmm,
I didn't stop for me. I stopped because I can't bring all that negativity around this child.
mm,
And I'm encouraging, people who may be in that, as you put, off the chain.
mm-hmm.
And it's really just trying to manage something that you don't know how to
That's
manage.
true. That is
It's
what it
not that you
was.
just want to be a bad person or this is your
No,
personality. I just want to snap up everybody at work. I just
right,
want to
right,
throw people's food
right.
at them when they come into my line at Wendy's. It's not necessarily that. It's I just don't know how to manage this. I'm holding on to all of this. I'm protecting everybody else. I'm trying not to replay these terrible things in my mind. I don't like the way I behave because I behave in such a way that is reacting to something that happened to me. I don't know how to change it.
That's right.
So a lot of this is in the behavior. So you were just honestly doing the best you could with what you had,
That's true.
even though it's not behavior that you liked.
That's true.
You were doing the best that you could. And so, what about those who don't get pregnant?
Mm-hmm.
So, you're going to have to find love for yourself.
Mm-hmm. And for yourself, the love that, like I said, I was raised with nothing but love all around me, and that was so seated in me that that's what went out first when it's time for me to deal outside with anybody else. I was always kind. I never wanted to be heavy on people. I always wanted to leave a person, with a smile. And that wasn't necessarily in the forefront of my mind. That just was the way I I was inside. And so all of those things I was trying to do, I was trying to be something that I was not. And I spent a lot of years trying to be somebody I wasn't. And
Yeah.
so, um, but I've always been nurtured inside the bosom of my family. So I'm I'm just so grateful for that as well. Um, and now I've got God in a way I've never ever in my life even tried to have him.
Wow.
And so I just I can't wait to see what else he got for me to
No,
do.
that's right. And also, God sets the solitary in families. That's what the Bible says. If you don't have that supportive family, you will have information on this screen so you can connect to a network of strong women who will hold you up as well. And you don't have to be a woman to connect. You can be a man. And I
Mhm.
hope as hard as it is for women to admit many of the things that we've gone through, how much harder is it for men?
Mm,
We just do not live in a society where it is yet safe enough for a man to
very true.
say, I was sexually abused. You hear some, but then there's always something behind it
Mm,
that will lead them more to a place of shame. Women get a lot more empathy than men, and it is so unfortunate. So, whether you are a man or a woman,
that's right.
and if you are somebody who feels like you have violated someone else,
Mm,
don't think. Now, I'm not saying this is everybody, but there are situations where you may be able to say, whether you heal the situation or not, I'm sorry.
that's right. That's right.
It does happen. Notice that we both have had situations where we were either encouraged to or had the opportunity to reach out to someone who harmed us, and it was good for us. So imagine if that person had come to us and said, oh my God, I was crazy when I was that
Right.
age. I saw my uncle do this.
Right.
My brother told me to do that. I had no idea how much harm I was about to
Mm,
cause you. I am so
mm,
sorry. Do you know how much healing
that would
that
be.
can offer?
Yes,
You
it
may be
can.
thinking, I'm going to go run and hide. This person doesn't want to see me. And you might be right. But if you see that opportunity, excuse
God
me,
bless you.
if you see that opportunity come up, it may be for you to reach out. You may need to send an email. You may need to, I'm not saying walk up on anybody. We have to be smart and be safe.
That's right.
But you may have to, just like she received a message, you may have to message somebody. There is something really important I want to talk to you about. You have to be smart, legally, socially, otherwise. But
Mm,
there may be healing there for both parties. Now, I wanted to get back to something that you said. I
mhm.
wanted to talk more about dance. I am a firm believer. I encourage people, anybody I talk to, work with, to use the arts to heal. It
Yes.
is so powerful
Yes.
and important. And she answered my question before I even asked it. She talked about how she could communicate, she could show her anger
Yeah.
through the dance. I used to show my anger through poetry.
Mm-hmm.
And the odd thing is, I could not write a poem unless I was angry. I'm like,
Mm.
if I when I tried to write one when I was happy, it was awful. But let me get angry, it was like, whoa!
Okay, I can use this.
Yes, I took a poetry class in college, and the poetry teacher was like, "This is outstanding."
Listen.
I was like, "Cause I had just watched some movie about
Right,
apartheid, and
right.
I went in." So, yeah,
Dance,
hmm
dance is everybody loves dance, and dance is dance. We use it recreationally. It's certainly a healthy thing for you, both physically and mentally. Um, Dance classes are, you begin to meet the same people in the same circles. And so you are able to, you're able to be a part of a village. You, I teach, well, I was trained to teach anything from classical ballet through jazz and contemporary movement, improvisational, traditional, contemporary, African dance, and so now I really focus more on contemporary dance. The foundations of ballet was excellent for your posture, um, and the cultural aspect of traditional African dance and contemporary African dance is it's there's a self-awareness that is really healthy. It's good for you. It makes you feel good. It makes you know. Now, certainly there's in terms of culture, there are parts of it. See, what I do is I pick and choose what I can use. So if I'm working in African dance, I use the parts of it that I know work for me in my life. There are things that are culturally against my beliefs, but I I don't have to use that part. The dance tells the story of a people. And so, those people have gone through some things. And um, there's a way for you to, again, doesn't have to be traditional African dance or, or any of the cultural diaspora dances, but just to come together and to feel release of weight and anxiety and pressures and all that kind of stuff. Go and pull from the classes what will work for you. And it's an amazing way to vent. It's an amazing way to release. It's an amazing way to connect with other like-minded people. Um, it's an amazing way to develop village. So, and again, when you have the support of other people who care about you and you care about them, then that there's that much more potential opportunity for you to address things that are getting in your way and blocking your joy. Um, I love also praise dance. It's
Yes.
really, really so it just lets you breathe. It lets you know that there is a God that and you can touch, you can connect, that the Holy Spirit gets into you and spirit gets into you through movement and music. And so that's one of them things where you got to be kind of careful because there's good things and there's bad things. But
Right.
when you reaching out through a dance ministry and and folks are all praying together and folks are all coming together and folks are dancing together and they're releasing together and it's talking together and it heals.
And if you don't have a class, please feel free. Yep, come to her class first of all. But sometimes you have to put something on that phone and be in your room
Man, there you go.
and have it out. I've gotten some real breakthroughs dancing by myself. And as we talk about things that have come against our body autonomy and our body self-image and the body value, take an opportunity to embrace yourself, to dance and focus. I'm sorry.
Yes, no, I'm sorry. Don't look for, there was a time when folks believed that there was a particular type of body that was supposed to be out there on the floor. And that it tends to that attitude tend to shame people.
Yes.
But it's not about that at all. Anybody and everybody, I don't care if you dancing with one leg, it can do the same thing for you.
That's right.
I remember teaching a class and one of my kids was blind. She had no vision. Another girl had she had no only the use of only one side of her body.
Okay.
But when she came to dance class, the expressions on the faces that you see on these people, just see, these are the kinds of things that I said, God used me. And even with my pain,
yes,
he had, before I was born, he had already given me something that prepared me to do something for somebody else. And these were young people. And this little blind girl, she had a singing voice that was so amazing. This girl was amazing. And she would sing to me years later when she was no longer at the school and she was older now. And she saw me out at a park or on the green or somewhere. And she just started singing the songs that I taught in class. And I heard this voice and I turned to it and she was right there. Now she can't see,
Mm, mm, mm.
But I don't know if she heard me or my drums or whatever was going on, and she just started singing the song, and I saw, and that's Tiffany. She said, Miss Sherry, and she just came over to me with her person,
Oh.
and we just had a ball out there dancing our little hearts out.
Mm-hmm.
The second little girl, she danced, and what I did was she only had the use of one side of her body. So the entire class did a piece of choreography that I put together where they only used the side of their body that she could use.
Yes.
You should have seen the way these kids embrace this little girl.
Mm.
It's just an amazing thing when you know that it's okay. Come like you are and dance
Mm. Yes.
or sing.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Use what you got.
use it, and
Use
because it's
what you
not
got.
just the dance, it's arts. It's the arts.
So many ways to
So
express.
many ways.
But the reason I wanted to speak to you about dance is because each part of the arts just brings out a different thing. And for something that specifically uses the body, a place where we may have seen ourselves as being violated, and some of us see our bodies, and I heard something in that neighborhood in what you were saying, like this is like almost like my body is my problem. You know, I'm endowed, or I have this gift, or I can move this way, and I feel like a target.
Right, right.
And I feel like I have to cover it.
Mm-hmm.
But whether you're in a class or alone, take that time to celebrate and move that body. That's the body God gave you. If somebody is sick, they're just sick.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even, sometimes, y'all forgive me. I won't say Lord forgive me, say y'all forgive me, who are in churches that are so prioritized with don't let your shoulder be uncovered. Don't let anybody see your knee. Well, Muslim women who wear burqas have been raped as well. People who cover themselves from head to toe have been violated. We can't take it upon ourselves. Of course, we want to just be modest at our own level. You know, there may be some times we're going out somewhere fancy, we show a little more, whatever. But we're just not going to victim blame here. If somebody is sick, it doesn't matter. You could have on a tent. That, we can't own that. It Celebrate your body, move your body, get an empowering song, dance, get grounded, realize, hey, look, nobody's looking at me but me. Look at yourself in the mirror, dance, get that stress out, get that pain out, and take back your autonomy. Take back your autonomy. Women are using dance for young women who have been trafficked, even as children, to help to get their body autonomy back, to understand this is my body. I control it. I move it. I make the decisions about it. I celebrate it. I think it's beautiful. This is not anybody's dumping ground. This is not in it. This is sacred. I even heard that in what you're saying. And that's one of the problems with sexual violence. It's like it violates the sacredness, but it doesn't mean you're still not sacred. That is what the Lord is for. We are not going to act like God can't purify anything, especially when you didn't do it. That's what somebody else did against me. That doesn't, I'm not impure. I've had an experience. I may have experienced the pregnancy. I may have experienced the rape. I may have experienced physical harm. I may have experienced an injury, but that's not who I am. And I'm not impure because of someone else's action. And I just encourage you all to take that thought and put it in the trash.
That's right.
Just put it in the trash. Give that crap right back to the person. Whether you have to write a note to that person and ball it up and throw it in the water and say, I'm sending this back to you. Don't accept that. Don't accept that. Don't accept that. Don't accept the stories about yourself that so many of us have been just victims of.
Victim blaming.
We're here to tell you not to hold on to that.
Mhm.
I also, in this final piece, I would like to ask what advice you would give to women or people in the community to support younger girls. And one thing that I would like to say is that when I was in the fourth grade when we started having sex education, and that's what, nine
Oh,
turning
yeah.
10.
Mm.
We knew where babies came from.
Oh, yeah.
They may not have gotten into all the mechanics. Now that happened in sixth grade, and I'm gonna tell that story one day because I was like, now you told me that it's a sperm in the egg, but how exactly did it get there?
And
And
see, and the thing about children is they will, if you give them enough, they'll start asking questions because they're smart. They're
yes,
keen. They are not uh once you start feeding them the information that they need, they are going to come at you and they are going to ask questions, at least the ones that are not shame or shy.
yes,
Um, but I would suggest that we try to maintain, um, and this isn't true of every elder, but as we get older, we tend to turn into this person that wants to always believe that I know best. And I know,
mm,
you know what I mean? I know what you need. It was best for me to sit still and be quiet and listen and let them ask me questions and then
okay,
answer their questions directly and let them know that that my answers pertain to me because I'm not a professional in terms of,
yes,
you know, giving anybody direction or a therapist or anything like that. My expertise is life and living. But what I recognized is that when you're open to allow a young person to believe that you want to help, that you want to listen, that you want to that you understand that there's something wrong and that you need help. Sometimes you don't have the answer, but
mhm,
it's what you want to do is establish the kind of rapport that lets the young person feel like I can go to that person.
yep. Shit, this person is a safe space for me.
That's right.
This person is a
Let
safe.
young people realize that I'm not going. My grandmother was like that. I would get out of high school and there'd be four kids on the porch at her house before I got around the corner. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So she was a kind of older person that everybody felt like they could talk to her.
Yes.
And ultimately, when I was in a bind, it was her. It was her, and even my grandfather. He just took me and held on to me as I was leaving her house after she talked to me about what it
Yes.
was that actually happened to me. My grandfather just held me and let me know that we here, we love you. He certainly wasn't ready to get into detail about anything, but
Right.
the way when he wasn't a talkative person, but the way he called me to him and the way he held on to me,
Yes.
that's all I needed.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
healing just to have somebody just wrap his arm around me and just sit there and, girl, if you ever need it, we here. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And I would say, listen, listen, make sure they know that you're not trying to, put the weight of the world on them.
Yes.
You're not necessarily in agreement with somebody else's opinion, but that we need to find out what you need to get through and get past this.
Absolutely.
So just, yeah,
Absolutely. And let them know. I remember hearing so many times, you're too young to talk about that. Well, if you can be pregnant at 9,
that's what
10,
happened to me.
11, and 12 years old, then you're not too young to know about your reproductive system.
That's true.
So we have to do better. Educators, parents, community members, we're going to have to lean in and really have these conversations. And when I when I was in the fourth and fifth grade, those women broke down our reproductive system so well that I can still intricately draw it today from different angles. They brought in tampons, dropped it in water. This is what happens. They brought in pads. We understood the proper terms for everything. And I knew it so well that when I taught 20 years, not one day was I assigned to teach health in that regard or sex education. Never. Did I teach it? Yes, I did. Can't fire me. I'm already gone.
Right.
Already gone. But when I had middle schoolers and high schoolers that didn't know how pregnancy occurred, when I heard students saying lewd things about their body parts, I asked them, I was like, what does that mean? They didn't know. I was like, come on, sit down.
Yeah, no.
Boys first, then the girls. We're going to sit down. I drew diagrams. I taught them how to draw diagrams. They were like, oh my goodness. And I think it's so irresponsible for us as a country to move these things out of schools.
But you know, too.
But our parents did have to opt in. I will say that. Yeah. Parents had to sign and opt in.
But I think it's important, though, that there be we work harder at maintaining an intergenerational relationship. Yeah. I mean, on every level. Let it be that it's easier or we feel comfortable. And that again, can we do that? I don't know. But I know that one of the things that is important is that we continue to talk to young people, and young people continue to look to speak with us. You know what I mean? And that way we're aware of what's going on. They're aware of what's going on. You know what I mean? And we need them too. Same way they need us. We need these young people. When I teach, I learned as much from them as I taught them. And so,
absolutely.
And I think that's what happened. That's how I became a nurturer as opposed to a teacher. They call me Ma, they call me Auntie, they call, you know, it became more than just a dance class. And so I think that there's an intergenerational element that needs to be nurtured. Young women to old women to young women, and everybody in between. Same thing for the brothers. The brothers need to hear from men. They need to hear, they need to have an intergenerational relationship. That movie, what's that movie? The Forge? Or something. Oh, yes. What?
Yes, that was beautiful.
That is what we need for our young men and for our young women. And so, I mean, just to keep ourselves whole and healthy.
Yes.
As we go forward as a people, we need to make sure that and certainly respect is due. Ain't no young child gonna be coming and acting disrespectfully toward me.
No, and that's a part of the teaching and learning.
That's right.
You have to learn. And they're gonna recognize.
That's right, and they're gonna recognize that I respect them too.
Absolutely.
However, there is that what they say, some of those old ways we need to maintain, because there's a liberty that's had now that if we can't talk to each other, they're going to get hurt. And so, you know what I mean? So the more the more time goes by, the more liberal we are with what a child can decide for themselves. Let them decide for themselves, but you got to teach them first. If you don't prepare them, you know, I mean, there's a time when they're supposed to use, you know, I mean, what they've learned to make their own decisions in a particular way. So if we start to teach them in a way young enough, if we start to establish that rapport with them so that we can always communicate back and forth with each other. It's going to go back and forth. It's going to go side to side. It's going to go diagonally. It's going to be a healthy community. It's going to be a healthier society.
I believe that. I believe that. And young people want
They do
older
want
people that they can talk to.
They do.
And who's not going to just chastise and
That's right.
judgment. And the girl going somewhere. They really do. Because if you open up,
Yeah.
they will start flocking to you. We have a few people here with us today. I know we have gone on. Does anybody have a question or a comment? Oh, no, or if they're still there. I know some. Oh, it's
I'm still here.
Hello. Do you have a question or a comment, sister girl?
You know what? I just wanted to say this was an absolutely wonderful conversation. It was a blessing just to hear how Sherry was able to come through. That is a harrowing ordeal that she spoke of, and so many women, so many men, as Jair said, go through it, and they labor with it, and they're so weighted about it, and then they're not able to move forward. So the encouragement that you both are giving to others to speak, to come forward, and also the rest of us, always we need to be a safe place for people to come. We need to make sure ourselves to be open and non-judgmental, and and don't act like so surprised and oh my God, because that can set the person back. So
Yes.
just being able to receive it. But it was wonderful. Sherry, you are beautiful. And I thank you for sharing. You've been beautiful all the time I've known.
Yes.
So this was very powerful. And Jaiko, I love you as well. I just love you guys, and you guys are both beautiful, powerful women who operate from a strong position of faith. And I thank you for sharing. This was awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, if there's no one else, we are going to sign off. But this won't be our last time talking.
No, I'll be right here when you call.
Yes, and also for the live things that I do, I pull in Sherry and other people as well. So if you ever come and join us for a live event, especially you'll see either Sensational, you'll see my name, or you'll see In Scope on it. You may see, well, definitely you'll see me, but some of these other marvelous women that are in my circle that are just beautiful healers, just healers, healers, healers with such beautiful spirits. I mean, you can already tell you could just snuggle up with her and it's gonna be all right. So we just thank you all for watching, and we just speak love and healing to you all. Our information will be there for you to reach out, talk to someone, talk to your daughters, your sisters, your friends, your brothers, your neighbors. Be a safe space for each other, and we will do our best to be a safe space for you. All right, take care. Until next time.
Bless.